Good people, y'all know it is Wednesday. Y'all know it is time for another episode Eagles Elite Podcast. It's your boy Cool McCain. We in the building. You know the squad. We always deep. We always doing a thing. Not too much happening on the news front for the Eagles. A couple of things we'll talk about. We're gonna talk about some updates. We always do that. Jalen Hurts leadership and grasping offense. Gotta talk about that. Unfortunately, week 5 and week 6 game reviews. And then, of course, we talked last week about how low um, the Eagles were ranked in one position on defense. Well, it's the opposite for another position. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So, with all the things that's happening, we bring in my co host for the evening. Welcoming back the Diva.
What's going on, y'all? Glad to
What
be
up?
back. What up?
So, for some reason, last couple of weeks, it's been a 2-person team. The light's going to continue this week, but hey, it's all good.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get things popping, but before we do, the one thing we're going to do, we got to get the hypeness going. We got to get ready. We got to let y'all know what it is, what it do, and what it could be. So, that's the only one way I know to do that. Let's get it.
The kick is away, and the kick it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin!
Hey, I can't speak for anyone else, but that gets me hyped. Yes, I did go old school and throw the headphones. I felt a little nostalgic tonight. Let's get it. All right. So the first thing, of course, we always do some updates on the Philadelphia Eagles. So a couple of interesting things happened. Of course, Jason Kelsey was a bartender at day 1 of the Eagles autism drive. So that was a cool thing to see him still doing his best to be a part of the team. Him and his wife are a very impressive little duo for the Philadelphia Eagles, even though he's retired. He's talked about, like we talked about last week, possibly becoming a part owner, of the team because Jeffrey Lurie is looking for someone to be a minority owner, not to take over anything, but just have a minority stake in the team, help raise more money to take care of things, fixing the field. Paying for all these new uniforms, all this different stuff. So that could be an interesting thing to follow. We'll see how everything pans out once that kind of actually happens. But yeah, do you have any thoughts on Jason Kelsey and him being at the autism challenge and bartending there?
I mean, not too many. Jason Kelsey has always been a staple in Philadelphia. With a lot of different things inside the community. He really does a lot. Him and his wife do a lot for the community, so I'm really not surprised.
Yeah, definitely. And his wife will not even wear the colors won't even wear another team's uniforms or T-shirt or anything. That's how dedicated she is to being an Eagles fan. So gotta respect that. Another bit of, I guess I'd say partial news, partial rumor, is that Justin Simmons' best fit is still as a Philadelphia Eagle, and that he may be the last big signing that we have a chance to kind of slide in before the season starts. I, for one, feel like it would be a bad thing to have him in, but at the end of the day, it'll be all about the money. Now, obviously, the market's not what it was for him so far. He still isn't signed. If the money works, Howie will grab him, but it's all about the money. So we'll see how that plays out. But as long as he's out there, he's going to always be linked to us until he's somewhere else.
Yeah.
And
I think we should go ahead and make it happen.
E-Money Bentley in the house. Yeah. E-Money in the house. What up, E-Money?
What up, E-Money? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I definitely agree, man. I think if we got the money, we can make it work. Let's make it work, Howie. But hey, if we can't, I understand that too because it is all about the money. And we did just pay a lot of people to keep guys around and have the core. But if we can make it work with Justin Simmons, I wouldn't be upset at all. Just keeping it,
I
a
don't know.
buck and a half.
Maybe it's a before the trade line deadline thing. Maybe.
Well, the problem is not on the team, so I don't think he's going to last that long. I think at some point before the season starts, really before training camp, I think he's going to end up on somebody's roster. I don't know if it's going to be ours or someone else's, but I think he will be on someone's roster, by the time that happens. I think that's what's intriguing. So I don't think it's going to be too much longer. Sometime I would say within the next month or so, we're going to kind of know what's happening with him. But like I said, I would not be upset if it was in Philadelphia.
Facts.
So we're gonna go ahead and move on here. Some things are like rumors and things. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about one more thing in kind of the rumor news category. And this is just some players that, according to research, 10 players who need to have a strong 2024 preseason. So we're just gonna talk about some players, get some thoughts on them. So we'll start off with Quinyon Mitchell, our first round pick. He's gonna have to play well for us to at least. But before I get too deep into it, Diva, you have any thoughts on Quinyon Mitchell?
I think he'll play well. I don't know if he'll have a breakout season like Carter did, but I think he'll play well. But then you also got to get, he's got to get used to how we play. Like it's different from just practicing, but actually being out there, running live drills and being out there with the whole team. And you're switching from, college to professional, which some people it's easy to switch. Some people it's just not. Sometimes they need that whole year to adjust. But I think if he don't play well this year, and we might see spurts where some games he might be awesome, and then some games, he might need to work on some things like Keely Ringo. If he doesn't have like an outstanding year, I feel like, he has time. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, but I think for me, he needs to have a good preseason. So even if he gets to the season and kind of struggles some in camp and control situations, he's got to look like a first round pick because you got to keep in mind it's the first time in 22 years that we've drafted a cornerback in the first round. Last time we did was 2002. So they're putting a lot into him, saying, hey, we're going to go with a cornerback in the first round and you're that guy. And the thing about Quinyon Mitchell is he has the ability to play man. He has the ability to play zone. He has the ability to, play off, play on, play over the top, play on the bottom, because he has the speed to kind of recover if the guy gets by him or makes a move that he's not anticipating. And obviously with time that will go down, but younger in his career, he does have that ability. But he does have some training camp competition to try to be the other cornerback because we know that they're officially moving James Bradbury to safety. So with that being the case, we're going to need a starting corner on the other side. So he's going to be in a battle with our next person that needs to have a serious, a really good preseason, and that's going to be Keely Ringo, who you just mentioned. I think Isaiah Rodgers, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean all were added. So Eli Ricks is looking at it like, okay, y'all are basically telling me I need to get in here and show y'all what I can do so I can beat out guys like Zach McPherson and Josh Jobe. And I'm going to say this, Eli Ricks, if you can't beat those gentlemen out, bro, I know you had a pretty solid year last year, but if you can't beat those gentlemen out, you probably don't belong on a roster. That's just, that's just real talk. Any thoughts on Eli Ricks, Diva? And what he needs for the preseason?
Good. I think he'll be fine. I still don't understand why Josh Jobe is still on the team. I'm still baffled by that. But I think he'll be fine. I think, this year with them having Vic Fangio and having like a solid coaching staff, I think that he can really flourish. I think we can see Eli Ricks for, the spurts that we saw last year. And then he didn't really play much because they really didn't know how to rotate. They didn't know where to put him on the field really. So it's like he was out there lost a lot of the times. So I think this year I think that we'll definitely see a lot more of Eli Ricks like we saw in the preseason where we saw the great spurts in him. Um, but it's always good to have backup because I mean Slay is getting old, you know what I mean? And so he's not gonna be able to play full games. He'll probably be hurt at least 1 or 2 times in the season. So I think just having decent depth at corner because it's been a while since we had depth at corner is really important. But I think Eli will be fine.
I'll feel it. All right. So we'll move on to the next one here. And we've got another player that was added, Mekhi Gardner. He almost made it last year. He can play cornerback and safety. Right now, guaranteed, we got CJ, GJ, Reed Blankenship, and Sidney Brown with the ACL injury that are guaranteed, at safety position. It also could include somebody like Avante Maddox, who could be, looking for which one of those guys would be good as some depth at the corner position, at the third corner as well. I can't get the technical word for just skip my mind, but slot corner. So at the slot corner as well. So he had a couple of little battles just to try to make the roster. He was right there on the precipice, we'll say, last year. So we'll see if he's going to be able to do it in training camp and get on the roster. Any thoughts on Mekhi Gardner?
Yeah, we'll just have to see how we do in training camp. To see if he can get on the 53 man roster. I think he's got potential. So, yeah.
Another person that needs to have a really great camp, Zach McPherson. He was a guy that may have started on the slot, but then he got the torn ACL. So it looks like it's between him, Ricks, and Joe for that last corner spot that we anticipate the team carrying, like 5 corners. So he would be that last one possibly. So thoughts on Zach McPherson if you have any.
I definitely think Zach McPherson can beat out Josh Jobe. Zach McPherson played really good in preseason, and he got hurt. But I definitely think he can beat out Josh Jobe. He's coming back healthy this year. Hopefully, everything's fine with the ACL. Because a lot of times guys can't really adjust, coming off an ACL tear. But I think more than anything, it should be him, Eli Ricks. It should be him and Eli Ricks, not Josh Jobe. Because Josh Jobe, I don't know, he was just a statue last year, man. Like he didn't know where he was supposed to be at. Like we can't have him on the field. I don't want that man.
It's gonna likely only be one of those 3. Those I like it only gonna be Ricks, Jobe, or McPherson. Because you got to remember, we basically did 3 new corners this year. 2 corners we drafted in the first 2 rounds, and then Isaiah Rodgers. So it's pretty much one of those 3 guys we go get.
Right.
And last but not least of that trio, Josh Jobe. Honestly, for me, Josh Jobe should automatically be out of this. Right. I understand that he's good at special teams, but we can put somebody else at special teams. Like Josh Jobe, unless he goes out there, he looked like Isaiah Rodgers 2.0, or he looked like young James Bradbury before he got old and lost a step, and he just becomes very athletic and more skilled over the summer somehow. He should be he should be on this roster.
He should not. He should have been gone. I don't even know why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know why the boy has been saved this long, technically, but okay. What should have been gone?
Yeah. Now, another guy that really needs to have a great training camp or preseason in total is John Ross. John Ross, for those of you who may not remember him, he was a first round pick really fast a couple of years ago. Kind of lost the spark for football, personal issues, mental issues, injuries, different things, and stepped away. But then he's back. He said a lot of great things in interviews and everything. Now he's going to have to do it on the field if he's going to find a way to break the wide receiver rotation, even as a backup. Any thoughts on John Ross?
I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know, man. It's
fair
kind of
enough.
hard. You never really seen him play. You know what I mean? And I know he got speed, but I don't know. We just got to see, especially during training camp. And I think it really is going to show in preseason as far as John Ross, because I mean, it's really not too much film on him because he hasn't really played like that.
And then Tyler Steen. It's
My
not
boy.
necessarily that he needs to play well to make the roster like some other people, but just to in any debate about his ability to be a quality right guard, a good camp will kind of do a lot for him.
Right.
And then Kenneth Gainwell, I don't understand how he's the number 2 back. He can't be a 3-down running back. We signed Saquon Barkley. We got Will Shipley for depth. We need a big back more than we need Kenneth Gainwell. But I think if he does have a good camp, because Nick Sirianni is in love with this man for some reason, that he'll be back. So we'll see how that goes. I know my co-host is not going to be happy about that. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't want to see no more Gainwell in the Philadelphia Eagles uniform.
There you have it.
I don't want to hear anything about that boy having a good training camp because they said that last season and that boy gained nothing during the season. So I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, well, he looks good in training camp. He looks good on film. That's not translating to the field. Yes, we need a big down back that we can use, similar like how we had a Jahi Ajayi and LeGarrette Blount. That's what we need on the field. We don't need Gainwell who don't know how to run. He don't know how to hit the holes and just run. No, I don't. No, he don't need to have nothing. He don't need the Eagles uniform at all.
And as one of our faithful fans and guest on the show says, Keith Williams, bowling ball with feet. That's what we need. So we got 3 guys left. So we're going to talk about 2 of them at once, and that's Kobe Dean and James Bradbury. And the reason we're going to talk about these 2 guys at once is they're in similar situations. A lot of guys were brought in to play the position they play or are going to play, right? Because the linebacker position is really switching this year because of us going to the 3-4. So you have your inside linebackers, your outside linebackers. The outside linebackers are going to be pass rushing specialists a lot of the time, but they are guys who will be able to drop back in coverage as well. So Nakobe Dean and all the other inside linebackers, a lot more will be asked of them this year. He's coming off an injury. He's had a rocky start with injuries since he's been in the league, but that's okay. He's still got time to turn around. He's only been in the league 2 years, so it's not like this is a guy that's been 4 or 5 years and still always injured. But he's got to show that he's got the toughness, the ability, and he's kind of fighting from a little bit behind as far as starting. I don't see a way that he gets cut from this roster, but if he wants to be a starter, if he wants to be the guy with the green dot on his jersey again, he's going to have a marvelous camp. Because Zach Bond and Devin White, they don't want to give those starting inside linebacker positions.
And why should they? I mean, Devin White
Your thoughts, Diva?
is an OG in the game, so I know he don't want to give up his rights. Kobe Dean to me still got a lot to prove. I mean, he had a first good year last year. You know, he had 2 or 3 injuries back to back. And he really didn't look good. Maybe because he wasn't fully healthy when he came back last year. I'm not sure. But I mean, I think there's still a lot of potential. I think he has to do well in training camp, and I think he also has to do well in the first couple of regular season games, so we can really see, is he that dude? Because technically he was the captain last year before he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? So they felt like he was that dude. So we just have to really see. Like I said, he played well first season, but last season maybe it was just due to the injuries and he wasn't really the same. So I am ready to see how he'll do this season coming up. I hope that we keep seeing that same dominant Kobe Dean that we saw year before last, and if not, then we know it was just the team that was around him. But I mean, you also have a better team this year as well. So we'll have to see what N'Kobe does, but I think it's still there.
And James Bradbury, if he can't make it as one of those last safeties, we'll holler at you.
I know you don't want to know my thoughts on O'Dern Ballberry.
We don't really need them. We know your thoughts on Mr.
Okay,
Bradbury.
thank you. All right.
All right, so we got Philly in the building. Philly says, what's going on?
What's going on,
and then
Philly?
my co-host, Monarchs of Wrestling, the Playmaker, says, Eagles Elite, what's good? Oh, my favorite diva is back.
What's good? What's going on, Playmaker?
They'd be glad to see the diva when she makes her appearances.
I'm sorry, y'all. I've been absent. My bad.
Yeah,
My
they be waiting up. They be ready for it.
Life.
She ain't here this week. All right, so we got one last player to talk about, and that would be one Paris Campbell. Yes, ma'am. Your thoughts on Paris Campbell?
I mean, I think it's a good addition. I think Paris Campbell played all right with the garbage team he had in New York. So I think he's a good addition. I'm ready to see what he could do in the Philly jersey. I know he's pretty good with the passing game and things of that nature. So I'm ready to see what he could do.
She said the garbage team in New York.
Yeah,
you gotta appreciate Diva when she here. Diva be wilding when she here. She be wilding when she here. She be just giving shots like on the low. Like you don't even you gotta catch them. But she be saying some slick stuff about a lot of teams. Y'all just gotta be paying attention. Like real talk. I just want to throw that out there so everybody know. You know what I'm saying? I think Paris Campbell for me is the third receiver. Right? He looks better. He's confident. We've been hearing press conference from him. He really is taking this opportunity seriously. Like Sirianni, they have a bond. He's been working out with the ones with Jalen and Devontae and AJ. They like him a lot. I think that it's his job to lose, but again, you go in camp and you stink. John Ross might be there like, hey, bro, I'm faster and I'm here catching the ball. But he ain't, you know what I'm saying? So rookies out there that want both of those positions. So you got to focus in because if they don't, all those guys on this list, whether we like them, whether we don't, all the guys on the list have to play well. If they do not play well, they may not make the roster. And that's just the reality because the team is a lot better than last year, and we needed that.
Most definitely.
So, y'all, we're going to hop into the first commercial break. So roll with us. We'll be back here in a couple of minutes. Let's go.
Rams fans all around the world.
It's a beautiful thing to be a Rams fan right now. Stafford's back. We're going to see about Cup. And running back Kerryon Williams to return.
Lend me your ears, or should I say lend Playmaker your ears, as he breaks down week by week everything in the Los Angeles Rams canon.
Number 99, Aaron Donald. Can't wait for 2029 to come to know that you are going in the Hall of Fame, and it should be first ballot, no questions asked.
Join the Playmaker as he breaks down everything Los Angeles Rams style in Ramily Talk on the Playmakers Blog Network YouTube channel and where you can find podcasts. Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure.
And shout out to 502 Angel Radio, who will be playing our show. So appreciate you guys for helping us expand the audience. And also shout out to Shady Sports Network. If you're watching on at Eagles Elite Podcast on YouTube, which hopefully you are. If you're not, hopefully you do go hop on there and hit that sub and that like button. But definitely also check out Shady Sports, youtube.com, search bar at the top at Shady Sports Network. And if you're watching on Shady Sports, go and make sure you hop over and give the Eagles Elite crew a sub on our side and a like as well. We definitely all appreciate that.
Yeah, that helps out the channel. For real though, because it's an algorithm, yo.
It's all about the algorithms. It's all about the algorithms. And I appreciate everybody who has been watching because we are doing pretty solid, especially for it to be the off season. Hey, but we can always be better. So support your peoples. Make sure you get them shares, them likes, and those subs. That's what we need. All right, so back to some Eagles talk. A lot of reports talking about our man QB1. He's grasping the playbook very well. He's been a leader. Players have come out and said it. Reports have said it. A lot of positivity on the relationship so far between him and Kellen Moore and the offensive staff that's around him this year, the quarterback coach and everybody. It seems to be a much better fit for him mentally. He's stepping up leadership a little bit. He's being more vocal. He's kind of not necessarily pushing the leadership role, but he's kind of just embracing it. And you need your guy to do that, and he's doing that for us. So I'm excited about the possibilities with that. And before Diva gives her thoughts, just want to shout out our boy in the building with the drink in his hand.
With the yak in his head.
Yep, I was gonna let you go ahead and say the yak, and I know we're ready to see you too. So she back, she back. All right, so Diva, what's your thoughts on the progressions and the reported positivity from our man Jalen Hurts, QB1?
I'm just glad that he was able to the feedback that was given on the off season. I'm glad he was able to absorb that and really take that in and work on that because sometimes when you have teammates talking about you kind of behind your back and not to you, a lot of times they're not receptible to that. You know what I'm saying? But he absorbed it and then he started actually trying to work on that. It's important for Jalen to be a leader. He's the head of the offense, so he definitely needs to be more vocal. And I know that's something Jalen's not used to because Jalen's just like a real quiet dude. So, being vocal and being a leader, as far as like outspoken leadership, I think is something new to him. But I'm glad that he's able to take that all in and then relay that on the field. And I think it brings the players more close together. And I think that we'll see a lot better playing from the whole offensive line, especially when you feel like your head leader is leading. So I think that's going to translate real well on the field. And I'm just glad he was able to do it.
So I'm say this. Everyone has to step up their leadership because the biggest leaders on the offensive, defensive side of the ball are no longer on the team. Right, Brandon Graham, BG is that guy now, obviously, but Fletcher Cox, what he brought leadership-wise, not just play-wise, is now gone. Jason Kelce on the offense is gone. So guys like Jalen Hurts now got to step up and say, I can't be the secondary leader or following Jason Kelce. I got to be that guy. I got to take on more responsibility. I'm the QB. This team's success falls on me, and I got to do what I got to do. And I like the fact that it seems like he is accepting that role with open arms and understanding what he needs to do. And like Diva said, very important thing. This is not his comfort zone. This is not what he's normally doing. But for the sake of the success of the team, he's willing to be that. And that's a lot. Like people that are leaders are introverts anyway by nature. You kind of look at it and be like, whatever. But for a person that may not be, to take on that role, that's very difficult. That's very hard. And him being able to do that, him wanting to do that, that shows the development and growth of QB1. And we need that in order to be successful. Period. Like she was saying, everybody plays harder when your quarterback is talking, leading, grabbing somebody by the face mask and cussing somebody out when they need to be. That's what we need from him. We need some of that AJ Brown from him.
Yes,
Chase
sir.
caught him in the building. What's up, Chase?
What up,
Appreciate
Chase?
you tapping in with us, man. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe
Way in, way out. Thank you.
And that share. Let's get it.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
But yeah, I'm very excited for what we got going on with Jalen Hurts. I see a big year coming for him. He's getting a lot of disrespect from different places and rankings and different stuff, and it's all cool. Because what I want people to understand is sometimes disrespect is good, because disrespect is a chip on your shoulder, and you can make that chip last for 3-4 seasons. So
I'm just glad I Cam Newton it, because I don't think Cam took that disrespect well, honey.
So we're both in North Carolina, just so y'all know, and I would have to 100% agree. The criticism, I think, at a point got to Cam. Cam is doing great as a sports talk personality. Yeah, he's doing great. But I think the end of his career as a player, a lot was getting to him. But hey, we can talk about it another time. But I definitely agree. All right, so we're gonna take another quick break because we chopping it up. We need some topics in between, chop it up. Take another quick break. We're gonna come back. We got a couple of games we got to review. Week 5 against the Rams is first. So Playmaker, if you're still watching, you may not like this one, but it's a foreshadowing of what to come this year as well. So just saying, let's get it.
Join Ryan McCarthy.
I became a Jets fan because Kurt the Frog was my favorite Muppet because he was green, and the Jets wore green. That's how I became a Jets fan.
And Dustin Henry.
ESPN is cashing all in on let's pay a few personalities and we'll just kind of fill in the gaps.
As they walk you through all of the world of sports from their perspective.
The Albany Empire, it's a literal circus.
No credentials required. Where, Ryan, say the tag.
Where you don't need a press pass to talk sports.
Live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on YouTube and where you can find podcasts. Whether it's the men's college game,
the way that this season has been going, anything is possible.
The women's college game,
and how passionate Angel Reese was at that press conference, they got their mojo now.
The WNBA,
AJ Wilson on Twitter 1 and 2, followed by Brittany Griner, Aaliyah Boston, Jackie Young,
or the NBA.
The Lakers had a 0.8 chance of winning. And then what happened in the fourth quarter? LeBron James by himself outdid the Clippers.
You will get any and all of the information right at your fingertips or your earlobes. Join the Playmaker as he breaks down all things basketball in Shooting Lights Out on the Playmaker's blog, network, YouTube channel, and where you can find podcasts. Drew Willingham.
In this case, yeah, you put the blame on Kyle Shanahan for apparently not preparing the team enough for the overtime rules, supposedly.
Cole Johnson.
Peyton was considered a winner, and he was the darling of all darlings for Gerald.
With a special appearance by Tyrone Alizé McDummy.
Ain't nobody calling me. Text delete.
Join these two football enthusiasts as they give you Total Football Talk. Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on the Sertoba Media and the Comey Media YouTube channels.
All right, good people. We're back on the scene. Time to discuss Week 5. No, October 18th, 2023. 5-0 Philadelphia Eagles after the game against the 2-3 post-game Los Angeles Rams. So Eagles are 4-0 coming into the game. A lot of buzz, a lot of mistakes, a lot of things that needed to be corrected. Still saw a lot of it in this game because the coaching staff felt as long as you're winning the game, it doesn't matter how bad you're playing. So Diva, talk to us about this game. I know you love to give us the stats when you're on, so don't want to steal your thunder. So what you got for us from this Eagles-Rams game from last year? That's a precursor to the one for this year.
I mean, that game was okay. I mean, of course, we were that was semi the height of our season. And that was about it. Of course, we could have played better all the way around, especially when it came to the offense, not knowing how to stay on the field. And we didn't run the ball at all. So that game was all okay. If we would have had a better offensive game plan, then I think that it would have been a better game. But it was all right. Last season was just ugh.
Well, when you look at the stats, it tells you it could have been a blowout, right? So total yards, we had 454. The Rams had 249. Passing, we had 295. The Rams had 195. Rushing, we had 159. Rams had 54. We had 5.8 yards per play. They had 4.5. We got 28 first downs. They only got 17. Third downs, 13 of 18 for us, 6 of 14 for them. So we even had more third downs than them, which is not necessarily a good thing. Another one of those, we go for it on fourth and we don't make it.
We were not good with fourth down last year at all.
No. And that's because we became robotic. Every play was a tush push. And what Nick Sirianni never understood, because I do believe a lot of this was him, and not the OC, because he was just, Ryan Johnson was just, put in a position, right? And it's not to knock Brian Johnson, but he didn't really get to do the offense that he would have wanted to do. So we had 78 total plays. They had 55. We allowed 1 sack. We had 4 sacks. We punted once. They punted 4 times. Nobody lost fumbles. Guess who had the interception? The Eagles. Dominated time of possession, 37-55 to 22-05. Well, what I think is important and interesting to look at is our offensive stats, right? We look at Jalen Hurts, 25 of 38 for 303 yards.
1 touchdown,
one
interception.
Right.
Jalen Hurts, 15 carries, 72 yards, 1 touchdown, which that should have been your running back, not Jalen Hurts, but okay. And then you had AJ Brown with, 6 catches, 127 yards. Dallas Goedert had a 6-yard pass and a touchdown.
Yeah, but he also had 8. He also had 8 receptions for 117 yards. So that was a AJ Brown Dallas Goedert game, as well. And then Swift only got 17 carries for 70 yards.
Well, right, I wonder why.
Tim Gainwell had 7 carries for 17 yards. So you took carries away from Swift, and gave them to Hurts and to Gainwell. Another thing I'd like to say about this game is we run with Hurts too much. I don't like my quarterback having 15 carries. Granted, he averaged 4.8 yards per carry and got a touchdown, but this could be one of these games where he initially hurt his knee, and then he had to play with that injury for the rest of the year. Because we could sit there and act like because it wasn't ever truly acknowledged that he wasn't hurt, but he was hurt. And running 15 times a game for your quarterback, and most of those were design runs because we don't have a lot of different plays that we ran last year. That's a recipe for destruction later in the season. And we know that actually did happen, right?
I mean, on top of the fact that you had that man throw 38 times, he had 303 yards, and then you had him run 15 with 72 yards. So 2 touchdowns, 1 on a run, and then 1, passing. So to me, that's too much for a quarterback. That's way too much.
Well, you have a running game. We did get 2 sacks from Carter and 2 sacks from Hassan Reddick. We'll definitely miss Hassan Reddick's productivity this year, but I talked about it before. I mean, it's a money thing.
Yeah. We got Nolan Smith, so I'm hearing he's gonna have a breakout season.
And we hear it, but we got to see it first.
Well, I mean, we should get to see it this year. We didn't have anybody that wanted to play him last year, so
he looks different this year too. So he knew he had some work to do. He did some work. The other thing about this game, we look at the score in the first half. Rams scored both of the touchdowns, right? So we were giving up touchdowns in the first half. At halftime, first quarter we were tied 7-7. Second quarter we were up 10-7. So at halftime we were up by 3, 17-14. Nobody scored in the third, so defense is kind of buckled down. Fourth quarter, we got 2 field goals. That was the last scores we had. My concern, even watching this game, was AJ got off, Dallas got off, but we didn't check down. We didn't use Swift in the running game like we could have. We didn't use him in the passing game. But they try to make it like a Jalen Hurts focused offense. And when I say that, I'm not saying the quarterback is not supposed to be the focus of the offense, but I'm saying the running back's there to take some of that pressure off, right? Check downs, quick screens, slants, things like that are there to help him not have to try to go deep so much and always look for the big play. We did a lot of that. Rams were not capable last year, their secondary, of truly stopping it. Like they didn't let us get off, but they let us get off of them, right? But I feel like were we playing a team who had a little bit better defense, we probably don't have the type of offensive burst that we had as far as the stats go. We have to understand that last year, Big Dunn hole in the middle of the defense. The Rams were not able to take advantage of that at all in the second half. So that says a lot about what they had going on their side as well. And that's not a knock to my boy if he's watching, but just shows what they had going on their end as well. Because looking at this and you're like, we can't even get off against a team that has problems in the secondary. And everyone knows it. And everyone knew that by week 5. But we still weren't able to get off. But we did enough to win. And whenever you do enough to win, in Nick Sirianni's mind, everything's all great.
I believe we had the football guys on our side because it started falling apart after that. But yeah, man. I mean, I think that everything you named, check downs, slant runs, like all that was obsolete last year. Like you saw none of that. It came to it being a big play game for every game we played. Like he wanted Jalen Hurts to continuously throw down the field so he could hit it either AJ or Devontae and get that big play, big touchdown. It wasn't about the little things and just like the basic football mechanics. It was about the big plays. And I mean, to me, that's just crazy because your quarterback can hurt their shoulder or anything just by you always making them throw the ball down the field to get a big play. Like that just goes to show you Nick doesn't know anything about football because that made absolutely no sense.
Definitely agree with that. So, at the end of the day, in the words of our head coach, winning is winning. You don't always win nicely. Sometimes it's ugly, but we're winning. So that was his.
And that got shut down real quick. With his
that was his philosophy. And so far through week 5, even though your peoples right here were telling you that's not the move, it was working. And when it is working, a lot of people they don't care. They just like, it's working. Nick's right. Yeah. And a lot of people listen to that. And then we're going to get into the next game here in a few minutes. And you're going to see why it's not a good move. It's an embarrassing loss. The first of many. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about something positive about the Philadelphia Eagles for this coming season, according to rankings. So Pro Football Focus ranked the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line as the 3rd best in the NFL going into this season. And this is with, Jalen Carter was dominant for like the first 10 games or so till he wore down. Bryce Huff probably is an upgrade over Hassan Reddick, but he may not be a downgrade either. He may be able to provide you similar numbers to what Reddick did last year, not 2 years ago, but last year. And he's a cheaper option, and he's not holding out like Hassan Reddick is for the Jets. Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith need to establish themselves as more dominant forces. But here's the thing. A lot of people get on Jordan Davis, and he did another body transformation this offseason. He's around the same weight, but he doesn't look it. It's a lot of muscle now, where before some of it was weakness. That's not there. What I like about Jordan Davis is he got the full season last year, because remember, rookie year he was hurt for like 4 or 5 games in the middle of the season. So he got hurt in the Pittsburgh game, and he missed like the next 3 or 4 games. So him getting that full season last year and being healthy, that let him understand, I need to be better for this year. I need more conditioning. Fletch is gone, so now it's on me. It's on, Jalen Carter. It's on Bryce Huff, Nolan Smith, so on and so forth, Milton Williams and guys, to be the guys, right? But having said that, having noticed that, even with those changes, we still a top 5. And can you really be that? Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham, other guys are part of that line. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. Diva, what are your thoughts?
I mean, looking at it now, I think number 2 is good. I just hope that it translates on the field. I know that I was also seeing that the secondary was a lot tighter, a lot better. So hopefully that donut in the middle and hole is gone. But I mean, I think that, with the second year guys coming in and having a solid, I go back to the coaching, having a solid coach this year, I think will make a huge difference with the defense all around. Like, your first streamline, and then of course your secondary, because secondary was garbage last year, hot garbage. So I'm ready to see, what Nolan's gonna do. I'm ready to see Carter, Davis, of course, those two are my boys. Milton Williams, I know they've been saying a lot about Milton Williams. I know they say basically that he's not talked about enough, but he's really putting in work. We did see spurts of him last year when he played. So I'm excited about this number 2 defense. I could definitely see why they put us number 2. But it's about translating on the field, and I think we'll be fine. I think that maybe this kind of reminds them of the defense we had year before last. So yeah, like, I'm ready.
So the rankings, number 1, the Jets, then the 49ers, and the Eagles, the Detroit Lions, and the Cleveland Browns. Those are your top 5 defensive line rankings. Now, we were like 30th if you weren't here last week, but we were 30th in the secondary. But on the line, we're 3rd. So very funny. Ha, 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 NFL.
Right.
Or Pro Football Focus. But just to give you the numbers for the rest of the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys, a.k.a. the Arlington football team, are 6th. The New York Giants are 18th, and the Commanders are 19th as far as their ranking up according to Pro Football Focus. We talk about Pro Football Focus, but if you've watched the show, we don't really give too much credence to what Pro Football Focus says, just because
they're not too smart.
Yeah, they just be wilding.
They just say anything.
Up says top 5, maybe top 3 in my humble opinion. You right on the mark, sir. You right on the mark. That's why you the OG,
OG.
Now he says we're top 10, maybe top 5 overall defense. I kind of agree, because I think the line's going to do a lot. The linebacker's going to be better, but I just need to see the corners. I need to see who wins and how they do before I'm confident to say top 10. But even if they're not good, I think we're still top 15. I don't think there's a way with the talent that we have we're under 15, but I just want to see how the final unit that ends up being the starters and the backups after cuts and everything before I'm 100% on board with that. What I will never argue when you say the Eagles should be a top 10 defense, I'm with you. Like, I'll ride with that always and forever.
All day. All them cornerbacks we got, though, we better be a top something with them now.
Well,
True.
It's a lot of youth, though. It's a lot of youth, because they're going to be looking at DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell to have big roles, and that's going to be tricky when they're young, right? Because they've got to learn. Like you were saying earlier, they've got to learn.
They do.
And Isaiah Rodgers, he's been out of football for a year. He looks like a guy that can at least compete for that other position there. But live football, getting hit, going through a season, wearing pads, going through all that, we got to see how they do. But honestly, I think those three are going to all be above guys like Garner, guys like Ricks that played on the team last year. So we'll see. Says, remember, it's Fangio running the defense, not some knockoff brand wannabe defense. That's very true. I just want to see if the pieces can do what he needs from year one. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not that I have any doubt about Vic Fangio. It's just if the pieces we have, especially the younger pieces, because there's a lot of guys that are in their first couple of years of playing, in their first 3 or less years of playing, that are going to be asked to do a lot for this defense this year. So if they are able to run the defense the way Vic wants it ran, I think we're looking at a really good defense. But if it takes some time for that to come together, which it could, we may see some. Yeah, we may see some. Now, I will say this year, last year, I was very critical after about 2 games, but that's because of what I was seeing. I think with Vic Fangio, I'm more confident that even if it looks bad defensively to begin with, as the weeks go, we'll see improvement. So we may not get, we may not get a great outing the first 2-3 weeks, but by the end of the season, this defense should look very good. So, that's
everybody has to gel. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to gel together.
Yeah, and it's not just a bunch of veterans for other teams like it was in the Super Bowl year. It's also a lot of young guys too. So you got to add that aspect in as well. So it may take a little time, but I think by the end of the year you'll be right. I just don't know if it'll overall give us certain grades just because of how it may look at the beginning of the season. Even the wins, hopefully, but how the defense may look. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take our last break here, guys. We're going to hop back on after that. And we're going to talk about the Jets game. Wyatt picked a good rig to miss. I'm going to just say that. Let's go, y'all.
Oh, yes. The tradition, the pageantry, the spectacle, the history, the slut. Wait. I gotta rep my brother's stuff right. All my DMV soldiers, stand up! And welcome to the Commander's Gridiron Report. You want your commanders to be repped right? Well, D. Willie is your man. Commander's Gridiron Report. Every Tuesday at 11:05 a.m. Eastern, 10:05 a.m. Central on the Sotoba Media YouTube channel. Music by J. Cool.
Where my soldiers? Right side. Commanders. Where my soldiers?
Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted to go through against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site. AJ Styles walked out there, seen LA Knight. Oh, okay. And then LA Knight hopped out the car. Let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings, monarchs of wrestling, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Everything Boston. I love you morons. You kids from the block. New edition.
Dear whatever the law firm is. Sincerely, the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. Go yourself again, Jason Whitlock.
Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crown they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can be the black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific Time Zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel.
All right, good people, we back in the building. I want to preface before we talk about the next game. Go back and we say we're going to talk about last season, right? There are some good games, there's some bad games, and then there's games that make you shake your head as to what you saw on the field. Why the garbage, the trash, the utter just embarrassment that happened on the field happened. And not just losing, but the way we lost and the way we played that entire game. This was not a fun game to have to go back and rewatch or do this about, but it's okay. So Playmaker says, OMG, then Wise went down the Celtics with Tatum, bleep Brown. He did. Wise feels like Boston about how I feel about Dallas. So I understand. But so we had a game week 6. We didn't realize we had a game, I guess, until like the game was over. But we did have a game week 6. We played the Aaron Rodgers-less New York Jets. We lost to the MILF Hunter, Zach Wilson. That's how bad it was. We lost to the MILF Hunter. 14-20. And some ironic differences from last week. We talked about last week how the Rams didn't score in the second half. Guess who didn't score in the second half this week? Philadelphia Eagles. Why did we score in the second half? That is a great question. Because our idiot head coach, in conjunction with his patsy, the OC, decided that since we were up 14-9, we were just gonna play 3 and out, be safe the whole rest of the game, and we didn't have to score in the second half. And guess what happened? The New York Jets scored 11 points in the second half and beat us 20-14. You play games for 4 quarters. This is when Silly Sirianni showed his true colors. And we won games after that. But this was the point where I knew we were screwed for the season. 100%. Because we lost to the MILF Hunter. And that is embarrassing. Diva, what are your thoughts on this game?
Listen, if you're looking at these stats, it is no way on God's green earth that we should have lost this game. Okay? In case y'all don't remember something.
Except for one stat.
So the team overall, total yards, had 348. Jets had 244. Passing yards, the total team had 268. The Jets had 155. Rushing yards, we had 80. They had 89. Yards per play was 5. They had 4.1. First downs, we had 24. They had 17. Third down efficiency, we had 7-14. They had 2-11. Fourth down, we had 1. They had none. Total plays was 69. They had 59. Sacks allowed, we allowed 2 sacks. They allowed 5. Punts, we punted 2 times. They punted 4. Penalties, we had 5 out of 46. They had 9 out of 68. Fumbles lost, which I think Jalen Hurts lost a fumble. That was 1. Interceptions, we had 3. Time of possession, we had 30 minutes. They had 29. All right, if you're looking at players, Jalen Hurts had a total of 28. Now, this boy threw the ball 45 times. Now, please tell me why you have your quarterback throw 45 times for 208 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. That explains why. He had.
And we also lost the fumble in that game.
Right. I can't remember who lost that fumble. Somebody wasn't supposed to. Zach Wilson had 19 for 33 for 186 yards. Jalen Hurts had 8 carries Hall had 12 carries for 39 yards. Jalen Hurts had 47 carries on top of throwing the ball 45 times. AJ Brown had 7 catches for 131 yards. Garrett Wilson had 8 for 90 yards. Devontae Smith only had 5 for 44. Dallas Goedert 5 for 42. DeAndre Swift had 8 for 40 yards. Boston Scott 1 for 14. Zacchaeus had 1 for 5 yards, and then No Gainwell had 1 for 4 yards. So, looking at those stats, it is no way. You hear me? No way we should have lost that game. But you know why we lost that game? Because we did not score. And on top of the Jalen Hurts throwing 3 interceptions. And then we had 1 fumble. And the boy threw 45 times.
DeAndre Swift only had 10 carries. Gainwell only had 2. Boston Scott only had 2. So outside of Jalen Hurts' 8 carries, the rest of the actual running backs only had 14 carries.
Why does your quarterback have more yards than the actual running backs?
Because you're not running them enough. You have a back in DeAndre Swift, just like any other back in the NFL. You have to give him carries so he can get a rhythm, so he can break off big plays. They did not do that for him in the game. We had sacks. Hassan Reddick had 2.5 sacks, right? Josh Sweat had a sack. Milton Williams had half a sack. Jordan Davis had half a sack. Brandon Graham had half a sack. But guess what? We didn't have 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, anything. So what we got was we had 4 turnovers. We didn't get any turnovers. And then if you go back to another important reason why we lost, time of possession. All those yards and all that, time of possession, 30 minutes and 44 seconds. The Jets' time of possession, 29 minutes and 16 seconds. A little bit over a minute in time of possession. And why is time of possession important? That shows how much your defense is on the field. Because if you're possessing the ball 40 minutes, the other team get it 20 minutes, and just average numbers, your defense has to do less. You take a defense with a donut hole, you kept putting them on the field, you kept putting them on the field, you kept putting them on the field, especially in the second half. They finally broke. Jets got play at the end of the game and won.
When the Jets had the ball, they made plays. We didn't want to make plays. We wanted Jalen Hurts to bomb the ball every time he had it and throw it 45 times.
We didn't want to run the ball. Point blank. We didn't run the ball and we turned it over 4 times. We didn't run and we turned the ball over 4 times. That's why we lost.
Then you kept targeting AJ Brown like he was the highest target in that game. Like nobody else was on the field.
I think the defense precipitated that by making him the guy that was open on a lot of the plays. But if you run the ball, you don't have that problem. If you throw short passes and let a guy run with the ball after he catches it, you don't have that problem. If you run reverses, team plays, get the running backs involved, you don't have that problem. We didn't do that.
We didn't know how to do that last year.
All the things that were the reasons why we had a horrible, that was another reason why. Aunt brings up another point I was saving, but since Aunt brought it up, we'll go ahead and throw it out there.
Yep.
Jets were 27th against the run coming into the game, and we decided not to run the ball. That's silly Sirianni for you. That's what happens when you have a guy who thinks he knows more than everybody else, and he does not. I'm not going to sit here and dwell on this horrible game any longer. I'm just going to simply say this, and indeed, if you have anything else, you can add it. Nick Sirianni, after this game, you were mad, you were combative, you were arguing at the people asking questions. They were asking questions because all 4 games that we won, that we probably could have lost 2 or 3 of those, all you said was, "Oh, we're winning. We're winning. That's all that matters." So when we didn't win, they started asking you more questions, and you got mad. You know why you got mad? Because you know what you did was stupid. That's why you got mad.
But he got mad because he had no answer because he didn't know how to answer it because he didn't have an answer to anything.
This is fair.
I'm mad.
This is what I wanted to say to Nick Sirianni all season.
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth.
That's what I wanted to say to him all season.
I mean, really, because when he did talk, he kept talking in circles. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, just go get off the mic because you're not even talking. You're just talking in circles and you're just fumbling and bumbling. And what you're saying doesn't even make sense. Like, why are you even talking?
Very asinine person when he speaks, for sure. But we can cleanse that from our palate completely. Now we've talked about it last time. We're going to talk about it. The Jets were a bad team last year, and we lost to them. It's not the only bad team we lost to. It's not the worst loss we had, but it's one we shouldn't have had. So we're going to flush that. Really, this whole season, we're going to flush it. And we're going to move on to the next season.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, before we go, though, shout out Benny Boom. Benny Boom with the fly hats for your peoples. Always keeping us laced and stocked. Yes, sir.
Support your local businesses, man.
Absolutely. And tell 4 of your friends and 4 of your enemies. Just because they don't like you does not mean that they won't like the Eagles Elite Podcast crew.
They're going to love it over here. I'm just telling you. Go and send them over here because they're going to love it over here.
Everybody should.
It is.
And as always, it's never where you start. It's always where you finish. Eagles, this goes for y'all too last year. All right. We all good people. We'll see y'all next week. Share this bad boy out for us. Make sure you sub 502 Angel Radio. Shout out to y'all as well. We out. Next week, we back in the building.
Thank you.